And time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game. And makes it across the 20 as his guys will set up shop at the 23-yard line. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. And he played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD, 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
And some secondary help here for the defense in the nickel on 3rd and long. They stay on the ground with Allen. And he'll only get this to about the 35, well short of the line to gain. 9 yards on the carry there, but it'll be 4th down now.
But once again, a good example of situational football. That was 3rd and very long, so you know they were guarding against the pass. And when they decided to run the ball, that was okay.
And oh, sneak attack. They're going to run for it. And he will not even make it back to the line of scrimmage. I know, without even asking, without even looking in your direction, that you are not a fan of that call.
Oh, I wish you had looked, Brandon, because I was actually thinking this would be the perfect time for a fake.
Right. Right.
Yeah, you're right. This doesn't make any sense to me at all. This deep in your own territory. Look, I'm all for being unconventional. That part's cool, and I get it. But this deep, I just don't think it was the right time to make that call.
From the 32 now, here's 1st and 10. They'll run with Sanders up the middle. And he'll get this just inside the 30-yard line. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times. And he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, a franchise leader in wins.
I mean, think about it. That's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the man Stewart himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Bertuzzi, Otis Sisler, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
Flush to his right. He lets this one fly toward the back of the end zone.
Oh, that's going to go a bit because they needed to come through with the completion there. Now drive this starter. Great field position is facing down.
Anderson's kick is good. And the NFC down to an early 3-0 lead. Teams got to figure each other out here. After 3 drives, we have a score and a field goal.
Yeah, it's just waiting for the breakout drive to come to them, right? Usually was like, look, well, that extra section. This is touchdown instead of field goals. They'll take the lead now and try to set that up.
And I got to get a good country starts here first. Down 27. And the AFC making